Hello gorgeous soul friends, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Hannah, welcome to my channel, and it's such an honor to be a part of your wondrous earth experience today. So let's talk about resistance, what it is, how you can identify it, and how you can overcome it in order to be the best manifester possible. So what is resistance? Resistance is the cultivation of certain beliefs over the course of your upbringing and over the course of your lifetime that have been programmed into your being and are keeping you from the required beliefs that are necessary in order to achieve the timeline that you are desiring to experience. Resistance can come in many forms, but it most often manifests as repeated cycles of pain, trauma, and suffering in our lives. So an example would be somebody who frequently manifests partners who betray them, or in another circumstance, someone who manifests cycles of poverty in their own experience. You know, they make $1 million and then they lose it within 6 months because they bring that belief of poverty with them into an experience that requires a mindset of abundance. Oftentimes this resistance is unconscious. We don't even know we have it a lot of the times, and that's where the blockages are coming from. People think that everything is just happening to them. You have certain beliefs and constructs put in place for everything in your life. And a lot of those beliefs come from your parents, and a lot of those beliefs come from the societal constructs that have been built over the course of centuries before you were even born. So the key is to look at your own life and figure out where you're experiencing certain cycles of pain and trauma, certain cycles of limitation, where you're just trying to manifest that car, you're trying to manifest that job, you're trying to manifest that SP, but you just keep running into these walls and it just feels like everything is happening to you. It feels like life is just kind of happening to you, and it's not. It's really just that life is abiding to a lot of these program beliefs that you have set in place. I know there's a lot of teachers out there that say self-concept is not the answer, but I really do believe it is, because everything is a manifestation and a reflection of the beliefs held about self. You are the I am. If you believe something about yourself, that is what will be true in your reality. But certain I am beliefs are programmed so deeply into your being that it takes a little bit of time to deprogram them because your brain is comfortable with them. This programming runs very deep, and it's our job to begin this deprogramming process so that we can set the space for generations to come to lay out a better world. This is how we are going to attain a better world. Through deprogramming ourselves, we create a better world. Now, how can you identify resistance? Resistance comes in many forms. It often comes in cyclical pain, cyclical experiences where there is pain, trauma, and suffering. So again, the example of somebody who frequently manifests partners who betray them, or in a monetary circumstance, someone who manifests, repeated cycles of financial trauma, where as soon as they get a paycheck, they're having to pay that whole paycheck to a surprise bill that comes in the mail. It's important to tackle your resistance because even if you do achieve a manifestation, you can lose that manifestation due to your negative programming and due to the resistance that you hold, if you still hold resistance around these things. One of the biggest ways to identify resistance is through manifesting the opposite. So if you start to do manifestation work, and you start listening to affirmation tapes, you start saying your own affirmations, you start really scripting and doing all of these things to change up your own personal story, and you start to see things manifesting in the opposite way of what you desire, it's because there's some sort of resistance there that your brain is not wanting to accept. Oftentimes, people will notice certain manifestations coming into fruition in the opposite way, where, if they're trying to manifest a certain amount of money, they may end up manifesting a circumstance where they have to pay out that certain amount of money. When you think about our psyche, it gets very comfortable in a lot of these old ways of being, because some of you have had beliefs constructed into you for decades, especially if you're well into, I'm only 24, but if you're well into your 30s, 40s, 50s, it's so deep-seated in it that it sees any new belief as dangerous. It doesn't realize that you're trying to help it. It just sees anything that's unknown as potentially dangerous, and it's going to put you in circumstances where you are away from the perceived danger. And I find this is often the case with people who do the nightly affirmation tapes. In my personal experience, I was turning off my affirmation tape in the middle of the night and I didn't even know. But in some circumstances, your brain will do the most to put you in situations where you cannot listen to the tape anymore. It's very strange. It's very, very interesting how the subconscious works and how sometimes it will fight back. So that's where the nightly affirmation tapes really come in handy, is you're conditioning your mind to really subdue itself to these new beliefs. And I create custom affirmation tapes on my website. You basically fill out a questionnaire, and through that questionnaire, I identify all of the beliefs that you could potentially be holding about self that are creating certain limitations, and then I create various affirmations to combat those beliefs. And these beliefs are recorded in your own voice, so it tricks your subconscious mind a little bit better than listening to some stranger on the internet reciting these beliefs. It works either way. Like, you can use somebody else's voice, but I do think using your own voice adds a little bit of extra jet fuel. I really do. And I firmly believe the way to combat resistance is through affirming. You don't have to keep track of every single thought and flip every single thought. You just have to be crafty and create affirmations that can kind of work around it so that you don't have to do so much work. Manifestation is not a practice where you put in a whole lot of work. You're doing it all the time. And this is why I don't resonate so much with hustle culture and like this whole idea that you have to go out there, you have to look for your manifestations, you have to go out and seek opportunities where your manifestation will come into fruition. I don't resonate with that idea, and I think there's a lot of manifestation coaches that get it wrong when they're telling you to go take action towards your manifestation. Your subconscious mind will do that. If your beliefs are in the right place, you can sit in a room locked up with no contact from the world and still get your manifestation. The world is weird. There is opportunity everywhere. Everywhere. So you don't need to do anything except for believe, except for affirm, except for align yourself with your manifestation. I think hustle culture really takes away from a necessary component in the manifestation process, which is rest. Right? When you think of the High Priestess and the Magician card, they are the two male and female components of the manifestation process, where the magician is the one who is taking action. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't have to go out and look for opportunity. He's intuitively called to opportunities, and he takes the action when he feels it is right. It always feels easy. It's in a flow. You don't have to overexert yourself in any way or try in any way. Where the High Priestess knows she's getting what she wants, so she just sits pretty. She sits there and she's ready to receive. So there is that necessary flow between action and receiving. But the action doesn't have to be conscious. It's most oftentimes not, in my personal experience, and I'm sure in your personal experience as well with manifestation. It's oftentimes the dominoes fall into place and you don't realize until after the fact, oh wow, I was taking all of these different actions and I was making all of these different unconscious choices that brought me to my manifestation. And sometimes the choices can be conscious, but they may not be conscious in relation to your manifestation. Where you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go out and get a cup of coffee today. I'm gonna look cute because maybe I'll meet somebody cute. And then boom, you run into the love of your life. I know that's kind of a dumb example, but you know what I mean. It is oftentimes our most unconscious actions that are taking us to our desire. The key component here is faith, and to just continue to trust and to be unwavering in that faith. Sammy Ingram talks about it all the time. Neville Goddard talks about it all the time. You can manifest anything in 3 days if you have complete and total unwavering faith. And the way that you combat resistance is through maintaining that unwavering faith. Even when you're manifesting the opposite, you can flip circumstances very easily. Just like you can flip them to be negative, you can reflip them to be positive again. You just have to remain in that state of knowing that you are the operant power in your reality, which sometimes life can get us down into these places where we feel like we're not in control. But even when you're in those states of feeling like you don't have control, you're still the operant power. So the key to overcoming resistance is to just maintain unwavering faith in your manifestation, maintain that vision, and to continue to affirm, continue to force those beliefs in. Sometimes you gotta hold your subconscious mind's mouth open and just force feed it. You just gotta force feed it and force it to consume these beliefs. And maybe that's through nightly affirmation tapes. Maybe that's through saying your affirmations in the mirror every morning. Maybe that's saying them right before you fall asleep in the state akin to sleep. There's a lot of ways to do it, and there's a lot of different techniques you can use regarding affirmations that can help you overcome resistance. But this video is really just to kind of let you know how to identify it and the ways that it can manifest in our lives, so that you can combat it, so that you can use these techniques of affirmation and faith to overcome it and achieve the timeline that you desire. So the two biggest ways to notice resistance in your life is through manifesting the opposite and through cyclical cycles of pain, trauma, and suffering. Those cyclical cycles are coming from some negative belief. You can oftentimes see what belief it is through the cyclical pattern. Do you have a lot of cyclical patterns related to your relationships with people? Do you struggle making friends? Do you struggle keeping friends? Do you struggle keeping a job? If you look deep into where these cycles of pain and trauma are in your life, you can often notice that the pattern, that common denominator, has something to do with a belief about self. So if you find yourself manifesting cycles of pain and trauma in your career life, where you struggle keeping a job, or you can't make friends at work, you struggle with relating to your coworkers, there's probably some kind of belief in there about belonging, or in another sense, like if you find yourself manifesting money and then losing it very quickly, manifesting money and then having to give it up very quickly, there's probably some sort of core belief in your system about keeping money and about maintaining money and having money. But just know that resistance often manifests as cyclical pain and trauma. So if you find yourself in a series of repeated events where things just continue happening in the same cycle, it doesn't matter if it's with various different people, various different jobs, you notice the same patterns of misfortune, it is likely because there is some sort of belief there that is creating that cycle of resistance, that cycle of pain that is keeping things in a loop for you. And of course, life is so complex. Like it goes beyond just like the career and the money and all of that stuff and the relationships. Like there's so many ways that resistance can manifest in our lives. But the key to identifying it is to notice the various cycles and patterns of repetition in your life. What things are repeating? What traumas and what pains are repeating in your life. So that is the conclusion of this video. I just wanted to make this short snippet about resistance and how you can identify it. I am manifesting that because you have watched this video, you are clearing your resistance now. Everything that you desire is coming into fruition. This is a sign for you that everything that you desire, everything that has been on hold, everything that has been blocked from you or perceivingly blocked from you is clearing now so that you can receive, everything that you have been seeking to receive. Everything that you have been trying to receive is coming to you now. If you'd like to purchase a custom affirmation tape in your own voice, my website is in the description box below. I also am doing 50% off of tarot readings for the whole month of October, so if you'd like to purchase a tarot reading, you can go and check that out on my website down below. All of my tarot readings are catered to your manifestation experience to help you figure out where your beliefs lie and how you can get to the timeline where your desire is. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.